Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to.
Why the Turks in the Balkans disappeared.
Presence in the
What do you
Balkans
mean?
is a forgotten chapter of European history. Once a dominant population in many regions, Turks in the Balkans were systematically expelled, assimilated, or massacred over the course of the 19th and 20th centuries. Today, few know that millions of Turks once called the Balkans their home. But how did this centuries-old community disappear so completely? Turkish presence in the Balkans began in the 14th century with the expansion of the Ottoman Empire into Europe. Starting with the Battle of Maritsa in 1371 and the conquest of Kosovo in 1389, the Ottomans moved swiftly through the region. By the 15th century, much of the Balkans, including modern-day Greece, Bulgaria, Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Bosnia, were under Ottoman rule. Turks settled in newly established cities and strategic towns, often forming the urban administrative and military elite. They built mosques, schools, bridges, and markets, transforming the cultural landscape. While local Christians and Jews were granted religious autonomy under the millet system, many native people also converted to Islam over time, either for social advancement or out of genuine conviction. By the 17th century,
Yeah, because I think we saw that you were taxed differently if you were not Muslim. So it's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you had to if you wanted to, thrive.
millions of Muslims, including both ethnic Turks and Islamized Slavs, Albanians, and others, lived across the Balkans. In cities like Sofia, Plovdiv, Thessaloniki, Skopje, Sarajevo, and Bitola, Turkish was widely spoken. The Turkish cultural and architectural imprint was everywhere. The 19th century brought major changes. As the Ottoman Empire weakened, a wave of European nationalism surged across the Balkans. Inspired by the Enlightenment and driven by resentment toward Ottoman rule, Balkan Christian populations began to demand independence. However, this wasn't just a struggle for self-rule. It quickly turned into a campaign of ethnic and religious cleansing. The Greek War of Independence was one of the first turning points. Thousands of Muslim civilians, including Turks and Albanian Muslims, were massacred by Greek rebels. The retaliation by Ottoman forces was equally brutal. But it set the precedent. Independence would come through violence against Muslims, who were seen not only as foreigners but also as collaborators of imperial rule. As Serbia in 1815, Bulgaria in 1878, Romania in 1877, and other Balkan states gained autonomy or independence, Muslims became targeted minorities. The new nation-states were built on ethno-religious identity, meaning that Turks and Muslims more broadly had no place in them. The most catastrophic event for the Turkish population in the Balkans was the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 to 1878. In just a few years, over 1.5 million Muslims, mostly Turks, were expelled or fled from Bulgaria and other territories that became independent or semi-independent. Entire villages were burned. Civilians were massacred. This was one of the largest forced migrations in European history, yet it remains largely unknown outside of Turkish circles. In Bulgaria alone, the Muslim population dropped from about 40% to less than 20% in just a few years. The Bulgarian national hero Vasil Levski, revered today, openly called for a Bulgaria without Turks. Similar sentiments echoed in Serbia and Greece. This trend continued into the 20th century. After the Balkan Wars in 1912 and 1913, more than 400,000 Turks and other Muslims were expelled. Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, and Montenegro targeted Muslims in an effort to create ethnically pure Christian nations. The final blow came with the Treaty of Lausanne in
This is a
1923, which
different
formalized a
language
massive
that I'm used to hearing.
What do you
Like,
mean?
because when I associate ethnic cleansing, I always think of like Nazi Germany.
Oh, well, it's the same thing, though.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
population exchange between Greece and Turkey. Around 1.5 million Anatolian Greeks were sent to Greece, while nearly 500,000 Muslims, most of them ethnic Turks from Greece, were sent to Turkey. This exchange was legal, but it was forced. Many families lost everything. Centuries-old communities vanished overnight.
Yeah, we watched a video about that. Why there was no Greeks in Turkey. I think that was the video called. Yeah, it's basically the other side of the story. This is the Balkan side. That was the
Yeah.
Turkey side.
After the Second World War, much of the Balkans came under communist rule. While open violence subsided, assimilation policies continued. In Yugoslavia, the Turkish population in Kosovo and Macedonia faced pressure to identify as Muslim Slavs or Albanians. Thousands emigrated to Turkey in the 1950s and 1960s under silent agreements between Belgrade and Ankara. But the harshest policies came from communist Bulgaria under Todor Zhivkov. In the 1980s, the government launched the revival process. a campaign to force Turks to adopt Slavic names, ban the Turkish language, and erase Islamic traditions. Resistance was brutally suppressed. In 1989, in what is known as the largest forced migration in Europe since World War II, over 300,000 Bulgarian Turks fled to Turkey. Today, only a fraction of the once flourishing Turkish population remains in the Balkans. Bulgaria has the largest Turkish minority, around 8 to 9% of the population. Despite recognition and some political representation, they face ongoing social discrimination and economic marginalization.
So it seems one province it's majority Turks, 60, and another is about 50%. So they're kind of in two provinces mostly.
Yeah, far apart.
Yeah, what's interesting is it's far
Far.
apart. Yeah, it's random.
Greece, a small Muslim Turkish minority remains in western Thrace. They are officially labeled as Muslim Greeks and denied recognition as an ethnic minority, a violation of international treaties. Their schools, mosques, and cultural institutions face constant pressure. In North Macedonia and Kosovo, small Turkish communities still exist, but their influence is limited. Turkish is a recognized minority language in some areas, and there are Turkish language schools and media outlets, but the population is aging and declining. Bosnia, Albania, and Romania also have small Turkish communities, but many have assimilated or emigrated over time. In total, there are likely fewer than 1 million ethnic Turks remaining in the Balkans today, down from millions just a century ago.
Yeah, that's very few.
This history is not just about the past. It's about how nations are formed, how identities are erased,
It
and
was a very fairly large population overall. Still,
What do you mean?
Turkey.
Turkey as a country?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Turkey is huge in terms of population. Yeah, I think it's like 80 million or something.
But since their land was reduced, the population size also.
Well, so Turkey
you
as a
know when
country
you-
is the number is now like the number of
Yeah.
population when they were Ottoman Empire. I have no idea what that was.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious because if they once covered all the in Lithuania,
Yeah.
at one point had a lot of land in Poland. So I would assume either they switch identities to now identify as Greek as opposed to being Turkish for self-preservation process, or do they
The people that are in current Greece land that used to be under Ottoman, they were always identifying as Greeks. Same was with Lithuanians. When they were under Russia, we were identifying with Lithuanians, and that's why people got sent to Siberia because they, tried to promote Lithuanianism.
Because when they have this land, it's not necessarily people, Turkish people have the people are there. It's really the country itself has that land.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not the
It's
Turkish.
okay.
Yeah, it's just because Turkey, not Turkey, Ottoman owns the land doesn't make the people Turkish. The
Okay.
people are Greek.
Okay.
And that's ethnically they're Greek and they're gonna fight for their right. Well, and that's what happened, So, yeah.
and how communities can disappear silently while the world looks away. Turks in the Balkans were not colonial settlers in the modern sense. They were part of the fabric of these lands for centuries. They built cities, cultivated lands, contributed to music, cuisine, and architecture. Yet they were demonized, dehumanized, and ultimately erased through ethnic cleansing and forced migration. What makes this even more tragic is the silence.
He said
While the
1
tragedies of
million
other
less. Earlier he was 1 million less.
Less than 1
Turks.
million left
Oh.
in the Balkans.
peoples in the Balkans are widely recognized, the suffering of Turks and other Muslims remains taboo, often ignored in official histories and European discourse. Acknowledging this
I
history is
never
not
heard
about
of
rekindling
this.
old hostilities. It's about truth.
Yeah, I've never heard about the cleansing and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I wonder like why it's like there's still
Same with Armenia, because Armenia didn't. We never studied Armenia to understand there was ethno cleansing there too as well. We only associate this term. It was like coined just for Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's just I would feel like nowadays people don't really get discriminated based on because they're Turkish, like because there's like Turkish people everywhere. They can freely travel throughout all Europe.
I don't know.
Well, don't you know?
I don't know.
No, I'm just saying. So like, I feel like they shouldn't be discriminated nowadays to this day.
Yeah.
Like, cause now there's Turkish people in Lithuania, in Germany. There's a lot of Turks. So I feel like it shouldn't be a problem in modern society.
But I think there it slightly is because I've heard of some people's outlook. They do feel like they're discriminated against, especially here in the States. There's this one.
Well, xenophobia is always
Yeah,
there. So
that's
that's that, but not like
Because
There's
as opposed,
laws protecting immigrants. That's what I'm saying.
true, but as opposed to, I can understand the perspective. Like people are excited when someone from Italy or from UK comes over with their accents and their culture, that people are more welcoming and embracing to that.
Sure.
But when it comes to like Turkey and Turkish culture, I don't know if that's embraced as much.
I think it's about skin color. The darker the skin, the less
There's
embraced.
some Turks that are like light too, really light.
I honestly feel like those would be white passing. They would be fine.
That's why I'm curious if they
I
were maybe possibly Greeks before, and they like,
oh,
because
I don't know.
with that policy where they have the rule where if you're Greek, you have to pay like an extra tax.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably, it's self-preservation. I don't want to pay this tax. Okay,
So you lie?
I'm Turkey. Turkish.
I don't know. I don't know.
For reconciliation to happen in the Balkans, all sides must confront the past honestly. This includes recognizing
Because
that
honestly,
Turks were victims
sometimes
too,
when I
not just
see, when we
rulers.
did that one interview where you see Turkish, how you say people from Turkey?
Turks.
The Turks.
Turks, Turkish,
Okay,
yeah, either
Turks
one.
and the Greeks. I'm like, they look related. They look similar to one another. Like I wouldn't be able to say, oh, this person is from Turkey, this person from Greece.
Mm, I mean, they could probably tell.
They could
They
probably
could
tell, but for
probably
me,
tell.
like as a person,
For you, okay. For just general region area, sure.
It includes understanding that nationalism, when mixed with ethnic hatred, leads to unspeakable tragedies. And it includes protecting the rights of remaining Turkish communities, who still face prejudice today. The story of the Turks.
It's like that image I showed you of like
yeah.
ex-Soviet countries and what they all look alike. Like to you,
No, I was able to find your people.
we were.
Yes, because I see your face and I see it a lot.
You see it a lot. You sure?
Maybe I
You
can
don't
over
close your eyes.
time pick up little details, but just on a general like visuals, I'm not seeing like a big difference. Can I see the comments?
Before 1878, Turks accounted for an estimated 1/3 of the population in Bulgaria. Wow.
Wow.
In 1876, approximately 70% of the country arable. What does that mean? Arable land before belonged to Turks. This number declined from 1923 to 49. An estimated 220,000 Turks moved from Bulgaria to Turkey, immigration encouraged by the Turkish government. Another wave from about 155k left Bulgaria from 49 to 51, many of them forcibly expelled. Okay, too much to read. The presence of Turks in the Balkans predates Ottoman Empire by centuries. Long before the Ottomans, Turkic tribes such as Pechenegs, Cumans, Avars, and even the early Bulgars, original Turkic peoples, had settled in the region and significantly shaped its history and culture.
So what do you call the region of Turkey?
Minor Asia, I think. Or Asia Minor. Asia Minor, I think that's what it's called.
Okay. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.